Hey y'all! Well, this may be a shock to some of you guys, but it's time to drag out the Nobsound 6P1. And I've got two of them. One of them is mine. One of them was sent to me by a viewer. God, it's probably been 2 years ago, and I feel horrible that it's just been sitting down here clearly gathering dust, right? And it's time to dust this thing off and get busy trying to actually fix this thing. And we've done a couple of upgrade videos on this thing that kind of just halfway sort of kind of made it better, but it's not anywhere near where it should be. And it just feels like such a waste. It's got this super oddball, Cascode front end that is way overkill on the swing, and then it's got 4 output tubes and it makes 2 watts or something stupid. And it's gonna be hindered by these little tiny output transformers, but there's a limitation on what you can do with the power transformer. But I've been looking around for a solution for this thing, and I think we're going to use Dave G over at Audio Karma has got a circuit design upgrade thing that he does to a Magnavox little amplifier. And I think that same circuit design can be used with this. I mean, one of the things that I was fighting with is it doesn't have ultralinear taps on the output transformer. And so it's wired as a triode, but we can wire it as a pentode to get the power back. And we don't need 4 output tubes. So I'm probably going to remove the rear 2 tube sockets and just put some screens or something in those holes. And we're going to use a couple of EL84s, get away from the 6P1 tube altogether. And I think it's a 6BQ5 or something like that too, but I know it's EL84. And then pretty sure we can still use these octal sockets and figure out a tube that's going to work in there. We got the tube rectifier in the middle. I do need to put these output transformers on the scope and measure the turns ratio, and hopefully these are 5K into 8 ohms, or we can find a combination that'll do that. And if we can do that, we can wire this thing up as a pentode and should be able to get close to what this thing is claimed to be rated at. Anyway, we're going to completely go through that circuit. We're going to be gutting this amp. We're not going to be trying to fix what's here. We're not going to be using those 6P1 tubes. And, maybe I did think about possibly leaving the rear tube sockets in and wiring them up for 6P1 tubes and then wiring up the front sockets for EL84 tubes, and you could either run one or the other. Let me know what you think about that idea. Or should I just ditch those weird China Russian tubes and just go with EL84 tubes? Because there's a zillion different EL84 tubes we could use. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning. And this is one of the reasons that I stopped the production on my amps and all that stuff until the end of the year. I wanted to get caught up on some of these projects that I've been promising people. And this is one of them. On my personal one, I've got a larger power transformer. I've got a couple of Thermionic Lab push-pull output transformers that will fit on the chassis, and we can use the 4 output tubes as a push-pull, and then wire this up. May use that Tube Lab simple push-pull circuit to wire this thing up and try to get 10 or 12 watts out of this thing. And that'll be another fun project. Not sure how that'll get done this year, but I want to get this single-ended one done. And for you guys that have one of these amps, you know what I'm talking about. It sounds sweet, and then as soon as you need just a little bit of volume, it just goes into freaking distortion mode and sounds like crap. And you can do that little mod that I did to the Cascode, doing a fixed bias on it, and it helps a little bit and ekes a little more power out of it, but it's still just, yeah, it just sucks. I mean, only way I can put it. I mean, I guess that's why I just kind of, I knew I was going to have to gut this thing. So anyway, this is what's next on the table after we finish up with that R8 ISO Tango transformer swap testing and subjective listening. But I think I could do that while I dive into this thing. And I know there were some other projects that I really wanted to get into, and that 6C33C project, I know people think I've given up on that. I've not given up on it. I'm just waiting for, I've got one pair of chokes here, and Thermionic Labs wrote me, and they're sending me a couple of anode chokes to also try that I think might be even better than these Lindels that a guy let me borrow. And so I want to get like all that stuff here and kind of, I got to read up more on the anode choke thing. That's not something that I'm super familiar with. And I know folks are like saying, no, you need to use this other driver tube, and no, you got to power up both heaters, and no, you need to be, using a gyrator. You need to do a constant current source, solid state, whatever, there's, yeah, guys, there's a zillion different ways I could go with that. But I don't want to just copy what somebody else has done directly. That somebody's already done that. And yeah, that works. So if you just want a simple boilerplate solution that's already been done, you can go down that road. But I'm trying something new and different here. And sometimes there's a little bit of a struggle bus trying to like make that stuff work. And it may end up being, it just never gets there. Kind of like trying to do simple mods on this 6P1. It was so frustrating, I just put it on the shelf and let it collect dust. But now I've got a plan, and I think we can make this little amp sing, but it is going to require just totally gutting the thing and starting over. But my goal here is to see, if I can stay within the constraints of this power transformer, which again, it's a 110 volt deal, and I may try to figure out if there's a solution for that that's simple besides using a bucking transformer or using that little voltage regulator box, which is no longer being made, by the way. So that's no longer a solution for this. And so it does have the issue that it's got a 110 volt transformer, so we need to try to figure that out too. And if these output transformers measure right. For Dave G's pentode circuit to work, these need to be 5K into 8 ohms. And so that's the next step, is to unwire these transformers or get them where I can hook it up to a scope, put a signal into it. That'll be the next video, is show you how to measure not only these transformers, but I also want to show you how to measure push-pull transformers to figure out the phasing on them if you've got an unknown transformer, and then also to figure out like the anode-to-anode impedance of a push-pull transformer. So that's going to be in the next video in this series, is seeing if what we've got here will work, and then going over the circuit that we're going to be converting this to, and then showing you how to do it. So, yeah, I bet y'all didn't see this coming. And to the guy that lent me this, his name's John, I'm just going to say John S. Thanks for being so patient. I mean, you could have been a jerk, and you haven't said anything, and you just basically gave me this amplifier. And yeah, we're going to fix it up, and I'm going to get it back to you. It might be a couple of years went by, but hey, here we are. That's kind of what happens sometimes here when we got so many projects and so many different things that, yeah, here we are. So anyway, if you're enjoying this channel and this content, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Thanks to all you Patreon supporters. You guys plus you viewers are what make all this possible. I really appreciate all you guys, and I especially appreciate you folks that make donations to the channel when you find this content is useful for you and your audio journey. So thanks again, and until the next video, have a nice day.